So a matchup that's already hard for him has just gotten much more difficult. But Todd does have 3 copies of Expiration in his main deck. He's got 2 Punishing Fires, so it looks like he has more spells and less lands. But we'll see how things go here. Smith is going to start with the Bloodstained Mire, and we'll see how Anderson wants to get the show started here.
So Todd has just drawn a Mox Diamond, which could significantly complicate his hand here. See a lot of lands and a lot of value.
Todd's still got 30 lands in his deck, but I think within his lands, does he have Mox Diamond over there? No, he's still got 30 lands. He's got 4 Faithless, 4 Smallpox, 4 copies of Life from the Loam. So he cut Liliana's. That's pretty bold.
Gutsy.
Yeah.
Although double black and 3 mana is pretty rough for this deck. You know, we've seen it a couple times where Kennen really needs to have Urborg because you have Maze of Ith and Tabernacle and Dark Depths and so on. So,
I mean, you know, to be fair, you're taking a deck in a different direction, right? When you're playing No Lilianas and playing Aspirations, you're trying to be a different deck at that point, I think.
Yes.
See, Anderson's going to cast Faithless Looting, draws Grove of the Burn Willows and Dark Depths. See what he's going to discard here. Might be comfortable just discarding a card like Mox Diamond at this point. And it looks like he's going to discard Mox Diamond and Dark Depths, pass the turn back. So we're underway here. He does have an Innocent Blood in his hand, just a 1-of in his main deck. But that's where the changes do come from. This should be fun to watch.
I don't know if Erik is actually from New Jersey. It disappoints me that I don't know that, but I know that he works a lot with Gerard Fabiano on decks, who's northern New Jersey native.
I'd say he's on the shore. Yeah.
The shore?
Yeah, I just wanted to be from Jersey, so. He's going to fist bump your face.
You know that they actually had to find people from New York and Rhode Island to be the cast for that show because that's where people like that are from?
I actually did not know that.
Yeah, okay. All right. Good we cleared that up.
Are you saying that show's not an accurate representation of New Jersey?
I'm not saying there's no people like that in New Jersey. What I'm saying is they had to find people from other states to fill out the cast.
That is a fun fact. I'm glad you told me that. Discarding Tabernacle, Wasteland going to take care of the Badlands here. Anderson going to play Smallpox. Oh, we're having fun now.
So, you know, this is... Ideally, you would like to wait until a spot where you're catching a creature and all of this, but, you know, with Erik on 4 cards, Todd's happy to just run him out of resources this way.
Todd just looking at, ooh, hello. Gotcha with the Deathrite Shaman. Todd discarding Innocent Blood, too. Let's see what Todd draws for this turn. A Mox Diamond, yeah.
And Erik's hand is Liliana the Veil, so he actually might... If he draws a land here, I mean, it could get pretty messy.
I like just playing the land and playing the Mox Diamond and just, like, getting your hand empty and just passing. Let's see if he draws a land.
It's a Wasteland. Oh, what a land to draw.
Now, does he have another copy of Liliana's hand? Because he discarded Liliana to the Smallpox.
Yeah, I thought he kept Liliana. I thought he kept Liliana and then drew Deathrite Shaman.
We'll see. All right. Yep, it looks like that's the case. There's the Planeswalker. So he's probably going to discard Mox here. Yeah. Take a draw. I mean, he's got a million live draws in this situation, so Mox Diamond is not one of them. He's going to cast a Faithless Looting. Wants to get a little deeper into his deck. Yes, he's going to discard the card that he keeps. There's Expiration. Discard 2 Expirations and pass.
Todd, sweet deck, man.
Yeah, Todd discards a Mox Diamond. Hey, he might fire off a Wasteland here. We'll see. Takes care of the Grove, which means that the Punishing Fire engine is not going to be online. Take a draw, another copy of Grove. You got to play it. You can't hold it because of Liliana. Pass. What is happening? This is a 1,000,000 to 4. What is happening here?
Yeah. Todd perhaps maybe a tad aggressive firing off that Smallpox, the spot that he did.
See a fetch land, they're going to go get a Badlands. Liliana's on 5.
I mean, he was basically assuming that the top of his deck would be better to him than Erik's and Todd has a pretty substantial resource advantage.
Yeah.
But Erik's back-to-back draws of Deathrite Shaman and land for Liliana were a lot more rewarding to Erik than Todd's draws of...
Ooh. Abrupticate takes care of the Mox Diamond. It's going to tick Liliana up. Now attack from 1. I cannot
Quick question if you're just tuning in. Which player mulliganed to 4?
Yeah. Todd draws an Exploration. Yeah, he doesn't have a choice. He has to cast it, give Erik a life, put him up to 18. So Exploration is in play. Smith's going to draw a card. Smith's going to almost cast all of his spells. Oh, my goodness. Now, Abrupticate's going to take care of Exploration. Did I say this is a really good matchup for Jund Depths? I don't remember that. There's a Verdant Catacombs past the turn back. Oh, me, oh, my.
So what's Todd's path to victory from here? Now that he can't set up. Now that he can't set up Loam.
Like Nether Spirit's pretty good. Loam is pretty bad.
Well, Nether Spirit's not that great because he can make him sacrifice it with Liliana
and then just eat it
with Death
All right,
Ray.
I think it starts with Punishing Fire then.
Yeah, Punishing Fire seems like where you would need to start. Yeah. That makes sense.
All right, split them up. This is remove 6 counters from Liliana, sacrifice a land. Pass the turn, draw a card. Dark Depths is the draw. It taps for mana. What are you laughing at? We're going manual. Taps for mana. Remove Innocent Blood here. Oh boy. I think that might be the nail. Tarmogoyf was the draw.
Yeah, the clock just got a lot faster.
Yes, it did. Discard Punishing Fire, attack here with the Deathrite Shaman, and now all of a sudden, okay, so all joking aside, even though things have gotten horrible for Todd, if Todd draws Thespian Stage, Erik is dead.
The edict doesn't cover him?
Huh?
The edict from Liliana.
He just makes it on the end of turn.
Oh, sure. Yep.
So yeah, the edict doesn't do it. Yep, manual, move a counter. So let's see if a Thespian Stage comes rolling off the top. It's a good sweat. It's a good sweat. Entomb. What do you do, Mr. Entomb?
Not very much because of Deathrite Shaman.
Yep. I think he's got, so an attack from Tarmogoyf, attack for 5, going to put Todd down to 6. I feel like he's got a turn. I think he had to draw Thespian Stage that turn. What is this? It's a Dark Confidant. That might be good for him.
Yeah, this does open up him to be able to entomb for something.
Yeah. That might be actually pretty good that he drew a spell, did Smith, that Anderson can actually do this. Nether Spirit trying to block. Yeah, so okay, so if Todd goes get Nether Spirit, he takes 6, he goes down to 5. Nether Spirit comes back. Nether Spirit comes back into play, and then he draws exactly Thespian Stage. I think he can win. I think that's his only path to victory.
Sure, he gets a block once.
Yeah, because the sacrifice, he'll just sacrifice Nether Spirit, and then he has a 20/20 in play. I honestly think that's the only way that he can win in this situation.
Yeah, he certainly doesn't have time to do anything with Loam.
Yeah,
so.
None of that nonsense is going to come into play now. Yeah, so look, yeah, he's going to get Nether Spirit. And so Dark Confidant's going to resolve. An attack here for 5, 6 is going to put Anderson down to 5. Oh, ooh, does that change it? Does that change it? Oh, that might mess everything up because
now
I think
this is 7 damage.
It becomes a 6/7, yeah.
So now there's
because there's no creatures in the graveyard.
Right now, any 2 creatures connecting is lethal.
And he drew Faithless Looting. And Anderson's at 4, and I don't think Faithless Looting does anything. Yep, and that's going to do it. So Erik Smith casually, calmly mulligans to 4 in what is a very bad matchup for him, and wins the game. So, as far as things that we predict, yeah, we can just be wrong.
Well, you're supposed to be the expert on this one.
Oh, expert is strong.
I haven't touched this deck.
Expert is strong. I do know that the times I've played against Jun, it has been a laugh fest. Because what they are trying to accomplish does not work against you, which is to grind you down and out-card advantage you. When you have Loam in your deck, and their Liliana is basically textless because you also have Liliana, you use Liliana better than they do. Yeah, normally it is a really good matchup. Also, the Punishing Fire engine is really hard for them to beat. Yet here we are, with Todd Anderson down a game. I mean, honestly, I think that game came down to the fact that he used Smallpox too early.
Yeah, and he might have snapped it off a little too soon.
Yeah, I think that's all that really comes down to.
So, I'll leave Todd's sideboard to you.
All right, 4 Abrupt Decays, an Innocent Blood, 1 Coffin Purge, 3 copies of Pit and Needle, and then the Spice. A 4 Reanimate, an Iona, and an Ashen Rider.
So, I'm assuming this is for combo matchups where his conventional Game 1 plan just doesn't really do anything.
Yes, I mean, this deck is very poor against combo decks. You know, Kennen had some strategies that were kind of fringy and, you know, kind of crossing your fingers and stuff like that of, you know, cobbling together Entomb for Raven's Crime and then, you know, going after their hand that way and or making a 20/20 really fast before they actually do anything and disrupt their mana a little bit.
He had a Thorn of Amethyst in his sideboard that was part of this package.
Yeah, you know, stuff like that where, you know, if it works in a perfect world, you know, then more power to you. But Todd is trying to find a little something more consistent and concrete. That's why you find the Reanimate package, because he has 4 Entombs in his deck. So he's able to, you know, get an Iona or an Ashen Rider in the graveyard and then be able to reanimate that and actually be good against combo decks. Now, I don't think that plan's going to come into play here. What I do think is going to happen is we're going to see him board in another copy of Innocent Blood. We might see him board in some copies of Abrupt Decay and have more removal. Then again, truthfully, I think if he just kind of draws okay, because I don't think that his draw last game was fine, but I think he, again, you know, gunned the Smallpox way too quickly, things like that. If he just kind of slows down a little bit and just grinds Erik Smith out, he'll be fine. I don't think he needs to actually sideboard very much at all.
On the other side of it, Erik has a little bit of graveyard hate. Again, conventional wisdom says this is the best way to attack the Jund Depths list. They have Punishing Fire, they have Nether Spirit, they have Life from the Loan, of course, and so going after the graveyard is pretty valuable. He has a Scavenging Ooze and 2 copies of Surgical Extraction he can bring in towards that end. He also has 2 Grudge, 2 Golgari Charm, a Grafdigger's Cage, Umazaz Shite, 2 Duress, which he maybe wants here. Replace some of his creature removal, perhaps. 3 Pyroblast and a Pithing Needle. So I definitely expect to see the graveyard stuff come in. Possibly he wants to rest as well.
Well, we'll see what the changes will be here in Columbus, Ohio, which is where Patrick and I are at SCG Open Series next week. Baltimore, man.
Yeah.
Baltimore should be a blast. We've already had some really nice shows so far. Started in Indianapolis, got stuck in a snowstorm. Went to Orlando.
Didn't get stuck in a snowstorm.
Didn't get stuck in a snowstorm. Here in Columbus.
Unclear if we're going to be stuck in a snowstorm.
Correct.
So
overall, it's been a delight.
If we were on the leaderboard against the snowstorm right now, we'd be 1-1-1.
Yep.
Yeah, we'd have
We're playing the rubber match right now. Yeah. Anybody's game, apparently. Even though we have no control over anything.
Right.
It is anybody's game. But being on the road so far, these past couple weeks, we've gotten to watch a lot of entertaining Magic. We've got to see some unusual things happen. You know, it'd be so easy to just say, you know, the best decks are going to win, like we saw in the very first tournament with Owen Turtenwald, arguably the best player in that tournament, winning with arguably the best deck. But things have been kind of shaken up since then.
Yeah, there's been a lot of, every tournament's had its own kind of weird storyline to it. And like you said, Indianapolis, our first tournament, was best player with pretty stock list of his best deck that he won the Grand Prix with. No surprises, and all the other tournaments have had some pretty different twists and turns to them.
Yeah. Well, we're going to start this one off. Let's see if Todd's going to be able to find a keeper. And it looks like he's happy enough. Erik Smith is happy. There's a Swamp past the turn back. He's got an Entomb in his hand, also has a Loam over there. Smith going to play a Wooded Foothills, and there's a Deathrite Shaman. The Fun Police is in the house. Now, Anderson does have a Smallpox in his hand. I'm not sure if he has the other black source, but I want to see what he's going to be up to here.
Yeah, it looks like he has 2 Wastelands.
Yeah.
But no additional colored mana.
Erik Smith searches for a basic forest as well.
This would be a really good spot to Smallpox.
Yeah, if he can just find another land. Let's see if he's going to Entomb for, and if he does Entomb, what he's going to Entomb for. So there's Entomb, and that's another Spirit. Oh, the value.
Free Grey Ogre on the house.
Can't stop till you get enough.
Yeah, Todd can't get Loam right now. Nether Spirit's not awesome here against the Deathrite Shaman, but nothing else to do, really.
Todd draws a Pithing Needle.
Ooh.
Not the worst draw in the world.
Get a little something going.
Yep. You, Deathrite Shaman. Looks like he has to play Wasteland too, pass the turn back. So Smith will take a draw. Looks like Smith has an Ancient Grudge in his hand. A couple copies of Punishing Fire, maybe a Tarmogoyf hanging out there. Let's see what this is going to be. That is a Tarmogoyf. Currently a 2/3 due to Entomb, and would a Foothills land an instant in the graveyard. Anderson considering firing off a Wasteland. He's going to take a draw first. No reason to fire it off on the end step. Does not have green mana at this point. 2 copies of Loam, a Smallpox. Going to fire off Wasteland. Play this Wasteland, pass the turn back. Smith draws another copy of Punishing Fire.
So if we can break up this Pithing Needle, things get pretty bad for Todd as another Spirit goes away, and then Deathrite Shaman is there to contain any future graveyard shenanigans.
So let's see if Smith wants to do this turn, because he's going to have to play probably another copy of Grove of the Burn Willows. Might be time for a grudge. Yeah, maybe punishing. Yeah, okay, so he's got the grudge in his hand, so he's going to take care of the needle.
Todd considering a response, but his hand does not allow for a response.
Now we're going to go to 3-4. I think we might see old Nether Spirit block here.
Sure.
Do what it does best.
Old
come
faithful.
on back. Yeah, come on back. Take a draw, Will Anderson. It's a copy of Innocent Blood. I think you still fire that off.
Yeah, Innocent Blood's not bad here at all.
Either it takes care of Tarmogoyf or it takes care of Deathrite Shaman. If it takes care of Tarmogoyf, that means Todd's going to lose his Nether Spirit forever, but that means that there's not a Tarmogoyf on the table.
Yeah, all he's trying to do is set up, just constrict Erik's development a little bit here, get to a spot where he can smallpox away the last of Erik's threat, and then take over with Loam.
That's all he needs to do. Dark Confidant at the draw here. And Smith is going to opt to play that as opposed to removing the Nether Spirit.
And that was a really important draw for Erik. If he missed being able to cast a creature that turn, then small box really blows the game wide open.
Anderson draws another copy of Wasteland. Unbelievable. Not able to find a second land that taps for actual green mana, so he just has to fire off a Wasteland again. And we'll see what Smith draws now. There's a Liliana, takes a draw, draws a Wooded Foothills. Dark Confidant, I don't know if you knew this, really good Magic card.
Oh, it is quite good.
Really good.
Another Stoneforge Mystic type of threat. Rarely gets the opportunity to run away the game because you need chip removal for all these threats, but anytime it goes uncontested, an enormous edge for its controller.
Anderson just dying to draw. So any green mana, he'll be able to Abrupt Decay Dark Confidant, and then he can cast Smallpox. He just needs to draw green mana, and he's not been able to do it. It's crazy.
Well, not just green, he needs a Bayou.
Yeah. He does not have, taking a look at his deck right now, does not have Basic Forest. So there goes Punishing Fire. Here comes an attack. Deathrite Shaman hanging back. Give my Nether Spirit back. Todd draws a card. It's a copy of Innocent Blood.
Not bad. Still not bad.
Same squeeze. This game is ridiculous. All right, Deathrite Shaman's going to bite the dust this time. Todd passes the turn back. So Smith's going to draw a card. Verdant Catacombs to go on with. I think that's the 4th copy of Punishing Fire. Now, Smith can actually cast Liliana at this point if he wants to. I think he's actually deciding if he wants to do that. What an interesting game. Just passes the turn back. So let's see if Anderson can actually draw a land for Smallpox or Loam. It seems impossible at this point. He draws. It's a, oh my God.
My God.
It's a Bloodstained Mire. You gotta be kidding me. He did it, boys and girls.
And now it is possible that all hell starts breaking loose.
Now, this is a situation where I think you Abrupt Decay. I don't think you cast Smallpox, but I'm working with perfect information. Yeah, I think you just do that, and now you got your Nether Spirit out here hanging out, making Liliana pretty bad.
Yeah, it makes sense. Todd just wants to be able. Todd's even happy to be able to loam next turn, maybe get his Wasteland back, maybe add to his development. He definitely can't afford to lose one of his lands here.
Yeah, because we know you won't draw another one for, 6 or 7 turns.
Right,
so.
even though his deck is 30 lands.
I think it's almost certain that he will draw a copy of Mox Diamond before another land.
Perhaps an Exploration?
Oh, that sounds like a delight.
Oh, yeah, I think Erik just drew a Wasteland.
Yeah. Yep, kill your Bayou. That's a dagger.
Don't get too attached to your mana, Todd.
All right, so Erik's going to pass the turn back. Todd going to draw a card. How about a land? Hi-ya! Another Bloodstained Mire. This guy's the luckiest I've ever seen.
Todd just top decking like a madman.
Unbelievable how lucky this guy on the right is. He draws his 3rd land of 30. Gonna go get a Taiga, maybe. Gotta get a green source. There we go. Gonna get a Bayou. Gonna cast Life from the Loam. Now the engine's starting to come online. You see Smith has never cast that Liliana. I think actually with pretty good reason. It doesn't really accomplish anything.
Right.
That's why the Nether Spirit is so good against Liliana. And just in this deck in general, you can attune for value, and now Nether Spirit can really go to work. And now Todd is going to try to go to work on Erik's non-basics. He gets a Wasteland back, among others. Erik draws a Bloodstained Mire. And this is actually, ignoring the very strange early turns of the game, this is actually how things go in this matchup, at least from my experience.
Just try to get your Nether Spirit online and start generating an advantage with loam and all that.
Yeah, and get Punishing Fire online. Looks like he's going to take a draw step, does draw a copy of Verdant Catacombs, attack here for 2. And you get Smith in this really weird squeeze where he really can't do anything. I mean, Punishing Fire, Nether Spirit, absolutely, all day.
Yep. Happy to trade resources, because Eric's deck is like, it's an honest resource deck. He doesn't have a huge cheat like loam or Nether Spirit.
Yes.
So.
And yeah, if you're Todd, you want to Wasteland here because you want to keep him off of 4 mana for the opportunity to be able to cast Bloodbraid Elf. You want to keep him away from that. So you see Todd's going to get a Wasteland, and a Bloodstained Mire. Pass the turn back. Smith will take a draw step. Let's see what he finds. It's a Verdant Catacombs.
And those basics you see in play, those are the only basics that Erik has in his deck.
So he's going to play a couple fetch lands. Nether Spirit going to come on back. And you see that, again, he's not casting Liliana because Liliana basically does nothing in the situation. Todd's going to discard cards he doesn't care about. He can just kind of really ignore Liliana, which I think is one of the benefits of this deck. Now, of course, that Nether Spirit should not be able to attack. Yeah, and they realize that. But, one of the things that's really nice about this particular deck is, it just makes Liliana an irrelevant Magic card.
Right.
Which, to be fair, Liliana doesn't see a ton of play in the format right now, but when you do go up against it, it is nice to just say, I don't care about that at all.
And Liliana is picking up actually a little bit of steam because, as a response to True Nemesis, you're seeing more Jund lists, you're seeing more Bug lists.
Oh, there is a Badlands and a Bayou, and we're going to see Todd eventually go after those with a Wasteland, just trying to constrict that mana. This is probably a Bloodbraid Elf, yep. This is the card that you were kind of scared of. Smith playing beautifully with this. There's a Tarmogoyf. Good
card to pick up, but Smith can't really attack here because he can't trade a Bloodbraid Elf for another Spirit that just comes right back.
For Anderson, you need to find a card like Punishing Fire at this point. There's a Taiga. He needs to find something that does something, because what Smith is going to be able to do is going to be able to tempo him out a little bit here. He's going to be able to do something along the lines of, all right, Punishing Fire, attack you, get your Nether Spirit back, Liliana it, something like that. And now he's going to cast a Smallpox.
Yeah, so this is the constriction you were talking about. Critically, this also cuts Erik off of red mana, which he needs to cast those Punishing Fires.
It was a bit of a bold play here by Todd, since Tarmogoyf is a 5/6, but Todd really just trying to give himself the best opportunity to win here.
I mean, he knows that Erik is running out of lands at this point. If he can get through this turn, he gets to make a land drop, and then he can loam and have Wasteland to cover any of Erik's future land drops.
Abrupt Decay is the card drawn here for Smith. So if you're Anderson, you need to miss for a couple more turns. And if Anderson does find a card like another Smallpox or an Innocent Blood or something of that nature, he draws another copy of Wasteland. He's going to be doing just fine. Going to play a Taiga past the turn back here. So Nether Spirit going to try to hold down the fort. Smith draws. Anderson going to block. Nether Spirit
another
comes
Ancient
back.
Grudge, perhaps?
Now Anderson obviously drawing lands.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of those in his deck. There's Verdant Catacombs. I think that might be able to search up the old block. Okay. Comes back.
Yeah, it would have been, I understand the instinct is just say, all right, I'll go get a land and kill that thing, but
he loses it immediately.
Yeah, Erik has to be conscious. And now, further constriction.
Tabardad. That's the turn. I would pay for that. Tarmogoyf is living.
And now Todd actually is in a position mana-wise where he can Wasteland the Verdant Catacombs, allow Erik to go get a duel in if he wants, and then Wasteland the duel.
And Erik said, I'm not searching for anything. So Nether Spirit's going to come back. And now Erik is in the squeeze.
Erik might actually be out of duels.
Yeah?
He's only got 2 Badlands, 2 Bayous.
Oh, wow. So he has, no lands, right?
Yeah, he has very few lands in his deck total.
He's got 4 groves.
Yeah, he's got 4 groves, but he has 10 fetch lands and only 6 fetchable lands. So it doesn't come up often in Legacy, but in games like this, that construction actually matters a lot. He runs out of mana.
There's the block there from Anderson. Now it's time to entomb. Things are about to get ugly. See what land Anderson wants to go get. This is the important part, because now, because he has Loam in his graveyard, now he can go entombing for an actual land if he wants to. Or he can, find something else, maybe a Punishing Fire. We'll see what he wants to search for here.
And imagine how different this game is if Erik draws one of his surgical extractions.
Yeah.
This Nether Spirit's been working overtime.
Now it's time to go get the 2020. So now we're putting steps towards trying to win the game. Nether Spirit's going to come back. See if he's going to dredge Loam this go around.
I think he possibly already has a Loam in hand, but in any event, he would like to mill to try to find the other piece of the puzzle.
Well, he's going to draw them anyway. Now there's the 1-2 punch. He dredged with Thespian Stage. Now he can go get Thespian Stage, Dark Depths, and X back. And getting a Grove is certainly a good choice in case he does dredge over a Punishing Fire. We'll see what land he wants to play this turn. It's going to be Thespian Stage and pass the turn back. So Smith is going to draw a card. It's a Bloodbraid Elf that he cannot cast. Attack, block. We've seen this for a little while. There comes the Nether Spirit back. Doesn't have to pay the Tabernacle because it comes back from the graveyard. There's your Dark Depths. He's going to do this right now so that Smith can't draw a Wasteland. He's going to get a 2020 Jerry Thompson token into play. And Tarmogoyf, you're pretty good. I don't know if you're that good.
Yeah.
And Erik Smith's going to
5-6 for 2 mana is not bad.
Yeah,
that's not a bad
that's
deal.
A good rate. That's a good rate. They'll probably be printing that at Common 4 years from now. Just 5-6
Oh,
for 2
come
mana.
on.
What? What am I saying that's out of line?
What, that whole power creeping of creatures, song and dance I hear so often.
Todd Anderson does win game number 2 here between him and Erik Smith. Jund Depths ties it up against Punishing Jund. And outside of the wonky first 7 or 8 turns there, that's how things are supposed to go. Look, the opening parts of that game were very weird.
No, it's just funny to say in Legacy. Setting aside, the weird first 8 or so turns of the game, the following 15 turns were about what you would expect out of the matchup.
And also, think about in that game, had Smith ever decided to take a turn off and go, yeah, remove your Nether Spirit, that's really annoying. I don't think Todd wins that game.
Well, I don't know. The thing was, there were a couple turns there where, Erik having a second creature in play protected him from getting blown out by smallpox.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Todd didn't draw a second land for a long time, so maybe if Erik takes the other route, he just wins the game. But it's hard to guess that Todd's going to stay off of his mana for as long as he did there.
Well, it's almost time for game number 3 here between these two players. 4th and 14th place on our Open Series leaderboard. Both these players coming for points. Anderson all the way from Roanoke, about a 6-7 hour drive. Erik Smith from the Jersey area, his drive was about the same, a little bit longer probably.
Yeah, about 8 is my recall of the Origins drive.
Yeah, and both these players coming out to Columbus this weekend to get some Open Series points. Not a great standard tournament for either one of them, but they are quite good at Legacy. Todd Anderson's won a handful of Legacy Opens with many different decks, Esper, Deathblade, Maverick, all of that stuff. And we've seen Erik Smith win an Invitational in Somerset last year. He also won a Team Open when we were in, I believe, Richmond. And then he top-8 the last Invitational in Las Vegas as well. So very accomplished Magic players.
Yeah, Erik is still kind of flying under the radar. Not a writer for Star City Games, and it's a lot of recent success, but he's definitely one of the rising stars of the Open Series.
Almost assuredly, and he's having a nice tournament so far. 4-1, playing Punishing Jund at the Invitational that he made top 8 at last time, playing at this go around here. Very comfortable with this deck.
And I wonder if Todd might play a little bit differently now that he's aware that there's very few actual mana-producing lands in Erik's list.
Yeah.
Maybe a little more aggressive with his wastelands. And
the one thing that he didn't see is those surgicals.
Yep.
That might really change
Surgical
the
extraction at any point in that game, even up until the last 3 turns of the game, might have been good enough to win.
Yeah.
Even with Erik having no mana.
I agree with you. So we're going to see these players go to battle one more time. This Jund Depths deck, people love to see it play, myself included. It is an absolute blast. I love this kind of deck when it's good in the metagame.
Well, it's pretty fun. It's like a land deck that actually gets to play Magic.
Yeah.
I mean, the land deck is very autopilot. You have Loam, you get your mana bonds, your exploration in play, and then every turn you're just kind of doing the same thing. This deck actually plays with some spells, some removal spells, so there's a little bit of game to it.
Anderson takes a look at his hand. He's got a Dark Depths among those 7 cards, so we'll see if he finds something that he likes. Smith is going to be on the play here. He's going to keep. Anderson will as well. And Smith's just going to play a Verdant Catacombs. If you're Todd, you got to be thrilled. Exploration at the top is pretty nice as well, but you got to be thrilled that no Deathrite to start.
Yeah, that card is it's certainly not unbeatable for the Jund Depths deck, but of regularly played Game 1 cards is probably the most annoying one to play against. Big reason that you see less Dredge and Reanimator than you did a year ago as well.
So there's a Taiga. This is Nurborg, pass the turn back. Nurborg, a little bit of an interesting play here, just because it's going to give Smith, black mana. Now, he does have a Verdant Catacomb, so he can't search for a black mana, of course, but likely what he did just there, what I was going to say, is he's going to search for basics, so now he's basically gotten a dual land.
Yeah. Curious to see what other options Todd may have had in his hand there. You had to imagine he has Dark Depths in hand. Maybe you play Dark Depths that turn with the intent on playing Urborg the next turn if you need to generate mana. These two lands also might be the lands he's most willing to have wastelanded. That could be a factor too.
There's Tarmogoyf. Anderson's going to take a draw step. It's a Mox Diamond.
Is his hand just 2 more explorations?
Yeah, so he's got 2 explorations and a Dark Depths, but the last card is the important card. The last card is Crop Rotation. And so what that means is that we could have a turn 3 2020 right now.
This is a pretty good start.
Yeah. Gonna play. Swamp is a land he can't play. Hold on a second. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm ridiculously stupid. Exploration's in play. I completely missed that. So he's gonna make a 2020. This is really bold, making a 2020 right now.
Yeah, it would be one thing if he didn't have Urborg in play, if he was able to rotate that away, but he can't. And now
Erik Smith's just gonna get to cast a Liliana if he has a 3rd land.
yeah, but Todd's hand was quite bad. I mean, it doesn't really allow him any other path.
Oh my God!
No.
He doesn't see it. He doesn't see it.
Oh no, Erik!
Oh no! Oh my goodness!
Oh,
that is insane! Oh my goodness! He is gonna be kicking himself after he drew a Wasteland.
yeah.
And the Wasteland is gives him a 3rd land for Liliana to be able to make Todd sacrifice. But I don't think, and it's very clear that Urborg is symmetrical. It's very clear he did not know that. And you can just see him thinking to himself, man, I can't believe we had that good of a draw. That's why I lost. In reality, and I'm sure that someone is going to tell him this via social media, text message, what have you, that, my friend, you were not dead. You were actually doing pretty good. And Todd Anderson is going to escape this match, winning 2 games to 1 over Erik Smith.